Jay here,
And I'm Liz Everett.
and you are watching the Fab Lab on the Mocha Media Network, where we are all about fashion and the art of beauty. Liz, can you believe that we are on episode 12?
I absolutely cannot believe that, if I'm being honest, because we were so nervous when this all started. It was very cool, I think, how everything evolved, if you will, where it was a concept. We did our little photo shoot. It was amazing. It was an amazing process.
It has truly been an amazing season. And I, for one, am super proud of what we have all produced together. We want to thank each and every one of you for watching and being a part of our journey, because, like I said, this was a learning process for both Liz and I, and we appreciate the support. So if you have been watching this season, tell us in the comments which one was your favorite episode. Maybe episode 1 was your favorite. Maybe episode 5 was your favorite. Let us know which one was your favorite. But we have this episode, and we have one more coming up, and we have some great stuff planned for you. So we've got our industry insider interview this week. We have celebrity stylist Tiffany Gifford coming to share her knowledge on the fashion industry, how to break into being a celebrity stylist, or really just in the fashion industry in general. And we couldn't be more grateful to have her on the show.
Absolutely. And we have an ingenious, Fab Lab analyst panel with the CEO of Camera Brave, Marissa Allen, who I'm also working on a movie with. She's also a really incredible producer. Her and Jesse Rosado, who's on all the time with us. You guys, we're working on a film together called The Paper Line that's being produced in Tampa. Come on, this talent is so phenomenal. We're always so excited to bring you these amazing people. And also from New York City, we have Francesca DeSpirito, who is a phenomenal bridal stylist, and who recently left Carolina Herrera as well. So, she's bringing 20 years of just really rich fashion experience from New York City. So you guys are in for a treat, a real treat, in this episode where we're talking about how to break into the fashion industry.
Yes, absolutely. We've got a powerhouse set of Fab Lab analysts this week who are going to take us from the headlines to the hemlines. So, guys, buckle in, because it's going to be a great episode here on the Fab Lab, where we are all about fashion and the art of beauty. Welcome back to the Fab Lab, where we are all about fashion and the art of beauty. I'm Stephanie J.
And I'm Liz Everett.
And today we have our Fab Lab analysts, and we are going to be going from the headlines to the hemlines with these two fabulous ladies who have taken their time out of their busy schedule to join us today. We have Marissa Allen, who is a video marketing coach and CEO of Camera Brave. Thank you so much, Marissa, for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Stephanie and Liz. I am so excited to be back on the Fab Lab and to dig into some of these topics, what's trending, fashion, and all the components of what makes us feel confident. So I am ready to dive in today.
Thank you so much, Marissa, and welcome Francesca DeSpirito, bridal stylist and bridepreneur. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much, ladies, for having me. This is such a great honor and such a privilege to be part of such an amazing panel of fabulous women. I'm so excited to share my views and my thoughts about topics, all things having to do with fashion, and giving you a little bit of my bridal input and, a little bit of sense of bridal fashion and style into the world of everyday fashion.
Well, we love it. And we are so grateful to both of you for being here today. So without further ado, I'm going to throw it to Liz. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. We're spending Saturday morning digging in to the fashion headlines. All right, here we go, guys. So we're going to start with Salvatore Ferragamo. I always just say Ferragamo. I always forget that there's that there even is a first name, right? Who is betting on 26-year-old Buzzy Maximilian Davis. First of all, can we give his mom some credit for this name? Because it's good. Yeah. It is good, okay? Young creative director who's doing the thing.
So Marissa, how are you feeling about it? Do we love it? Do we leave it? How do we feel?
I'm intrigued. How about that? So I love the idea of having a creative director that's younger and that may be able to bring in a fresh new energy and a new approach. I think that that could be really helpful, but I do think that we have to make sure that we're still honoring the heritage of the brand and their origin. And I think that that's really important. So I think that a properly researched young creative director could do amazing things for the brand, but I do think it's super important to not lose the history.
I love that. Francesca, having worked at a very high vibe traditional fashion house yourself, what do you think about it?
Well, I do agree that there is a lot of components that come into that, and working for a high-end fashion house that had the bridal, the beauty and fashion of monarch of the history of the US, American designers, Carolina Herrera, who carried a brand for so long. And then she had her successor come in, Wes Gordon, take on her brand and carry that through to the new generation. There is a little bit of that transition that can happen. And sometimes there's a little bit of can be a disconnect. So there has to be a really big conversation and dialogue between the house and the DNA of the brand, along with their new breath of fresh air and their new life that they bring into it. And I think it's exciting. I think he's very creative. I think what Ferragamo is doing is really, really new. And I think it's been a long time waiting for this to happen. But with that being said, I think they have to still keep and celebrate what Ferragamo really stands for and where they came from. So it is going to be exciting to see how that comes into play. And I think you have to try. We have to try. There has to be room for new designers and new creative ways to keep these houses going and keep these brands going.
So I think you guys are absolutely right. It is time, for a makeover. I think, unfortunately for him too, he's coming in at a point where we're all looking for the next Virgil Abloh, and there's not going to be, a new Virgil. There's going to be a new next amazing person. That's the only unfortunate piece I see there. But other than that, I'm excited for Ferragamo's rise, and I'm excited to see the original DNA celebrated as well. That's my biggest hope. So I'm here for it. Now, next, we're moving into industry trends, not fashion trends as far as like what to wear for spring, but actual fashion industry trends, because a lot of what we also have to value is that there are trends in the industry itself. And what I love is, so I'll run down those top 5, which is observing the industry bubble, like understanding, what is available, when, how all of that works, right? Number 2 is fashion shows, trade shows, and Omicron woes, right? Also, like our wardrobe refresh, because a lot of people, as we're going back, we are all looking for a fresh look, the whole 9, and red pill or blue pill, metaverse, or so lots to discuss there. Francesca, I'll start with you. What do you think is the most important thing to observe within our industry trends themselves?
Well, I think with 2 years of lockdown where people have just stayed home and gotten very comfortable, I think everyone's just kind of coming out of this new skin now, and they want to go back to shop. They want to go out. They want to get that great top. I mean, Zoom calls are, Zoom videos are the in. So everyone's got fabulous tops, but now we're out there and everybody wants to revamp their wardrobe. They want to lose the COVID-15 that they may have had, and but I think right now there has to be the inventory is there, but now that people are out there and they have places to go and they have places that they have to wear these great outfits, and it's becoming a little bit more accessible. So
true.
So true. I was just telling Liz this morning, I have got this great, it's oversized, so kind of like a dress, but I went and ran out and got coffee in between Zoom meetings this morning, and I had sweatpants on and Uggs, and I was like, I look crazy, so I need to get it popping. But Marissa, what are your thoughts on these industry trends?
So I think from like the consumer shopper perspective, a wardrobe refresh is going to be huge. So I personally just went to an event and I had not been to like a special event in so long. And I went all out. I went a little hard. I don't know if I needed to go as hard, but it was called a gala. So I was like, yes. Okay, we're going.
Do it.
Marissa, you just brought it to the table, darling. Yeah. That you didn't go too hard, baby girl. You brought it, honey. That red dress was everything.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that I'm not the only one feeling this way. It's like, okay, I'm going somewhere. I'm going to go fully. The hair, the nails, the maybe purchasing something a little bit more expensive because it's just so gorgeous. You haven't worn something rich and wonderful in so long. I think that's going to be a really common thread that we're going to start seeing, and one that I'm actively participating in and advocating for, because I did wear the red dress and I took up like 2 seats because all the tulle and it was so poofy, and I did it and I regret nothing.
There you go. Well, I will say one thing adding to that, because of the bridal industry and being, in the wedding world, weddings were shut down for so long and everybody was just itching to get back into it. So now there is that itch to plan the big weddings, and girls are going all out. Ball gowns, big dresses. They don't care if it's in the backyard anymore. They want their moment, and guests are excited. So now that weddings are back, and this is what the biggest wedding season since 1984, 22 million weddings that are supposed to be hosted this year alone. People are ready to go to parties. Yeah. So
wait, I just got so confused. How many weddings? Wait,
so
what?
There's a statistic out there that is buzzing all over social media. If you go onto my Instagram, you can see it. I have it posted. Since this is the first year since 1984 that there's about 22 million weddings happening like nationwide. Nice. So someone will be invited to a wedding at one point this year.
My God.
I personally have 4 to go to, and I'm in one of them. Yeah. And they're within like 3 months. I've got 2 in September and 2 in November. And I'm like,
so if anything has taught us about COVID, people want to party, and they will stop at nothing to go to a good party.
Well, let's move on to the eye roll. This is the eye roll of this entire thing, which is Jane Campion accepting her Critics' Choice Award, Best Director, and kind of flippantly insulting Venus and Serena. Marissa, where are you at on this one, girlfriend?
You sure you want to start with me? Okay. So
no opinion is wrong on this show.
So let me just start by saying I had to Google who this director was, and I did not have to Google who Venus and Serena Williams were. So let's just start with the notoriety and the name right there. So here's why I'm going to be so harsh on this. So I am involved in filmmaking. I just produced a short film made here in Tampa, and to me, it's very important when the filmmakers get into the spotlight that they need to utilize every second of that to their advantage. Everything should be prepared, whether it's an interview, an acceptance speech. There's so little time that your face is being shown to the public because you're not the actor. You're not someone who's typically seen. So when you're representing your project like that, you should be using that time to either talk about the project itself, talk about the fact that it was, a male dominated category and that you're a female winning. There are so many things that you should be speaking about and bringing up I don't understand what the correlation is between the industries of filmmaking and tennis. And if you listen to her full speech, she talks a lot about her taking tennis lessons. It's really frustrating to me that it wasn't well planned at all. The comment itself is just, I'm not even going to go there. I'll let you guys get into that. But the fact that she took that time and that platform and didn't use it to speak about her project or speak about, being a female director. And I also don't agree at all with trying to compete with women. Like, I think she could have stood out as a female in a male dominated industry without having to bring anyone down. That's it. There's my rant.
I absolutely agree with everything you said, Marissa. We just got up on stage and decided that we were going to tear two people down. Like, I just don't understand. Not to mention that both Serena and Venus have been championing same pay for men and women in tennis since 2008. So, I mean, it's not even relevant. The whole comment wasn't even relevant. And then I felt bad watching the clip because the response was folks were laughing and people were clapping and their faces were obviously of discomfort. But I'm in this room with a lot of really powerful individuals. So if I don't smile and clap, it's going to look bad on me. So not only did they have that opportunity to be torn down, but then had to applaud it at the same time. Better women than me. My face would have told the whole story. So Francesca, how are you feeling? What's your thought?
I would have done it was the nervous clap, that nervous laugh, but you don't know if you need to laugh or, it was awkward. It was, I almost feel this is almost going to be counterintuitive, but I feel bad for her because I think she was trying to make a joke, but it was just in poor taste. I don't think she was prepared to win because I feel like you should have had a much better speech. And I do agree that she should have taken that time to really, if she was trying to send a message and make a point, she could have done it in a much more tasteful way with humor, but she didn't. And I really do think she just may have, I think she's just a little dowdy person and just is never really in the spotlight and doesn't know how to handle being in the forefront because it was inappropriate. And I was very taken aback when I heard it. And I just saw that one clip before seeing the whole speech. And I was like, what was the point of that? There was no point. Absolutely. I just feel like, I think she just had it was poor taste. There was no point in saying it. And it just kind of turned down all the hard work that she did for herself. It just totally negated all of that.
All right, girl, come on. But yeah, you have to be, if you're in an industry and you want to take that industry seriously, you have to prepare for the spotlight. And we could talk about that one right there for 7 years and never end, because we all know of folks who have risen to the top but didn't know what to do with it when they got there because they never prepared and they never really thought it would be them. And I do believe she's up for an Oscar nomination for Best Director as well. So let's hope, should she get this second opportunity, that we have a really well prepared speech and that she figures out how to use the platform even better. So that's what I have to say. Now let's get to the fun part of the Critics' Choice Awards. Stephani, who were your top 3 favorites from the red carpet?
Well, I have to say that I thought the Critics' Choice red carpet was a little boring for me personally. I was expecting, I don't know if you're following along, but Lady Gaga was on 2 different red carpets within 24 hours of one another. The green gown that she wore first was stunning. I loved that, but I was not a fan of what she wore at Critics' Choice. It just kind of felt like they put bra pads.
Little pasties.
Yeah, I was like, did it not fit? I'm confused.
I have a pet peeve with bust lines and designers. I think bust lines and I think décolletage is beautiful. And I think it's a beautiful way to create design, but it has to be done tastefully, like,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's such an interesting, avenue that when designers kind of play around with that part.
Sure. And maybe in theory they thought it'd be great, but wasn't one of my favorites. But let's move back to my favorites. Selena Gomez looked great in red Louis Vuitton. The only thing that I would say is you were just talking about bust lines. When she turned to the side, there was a bit of gapping here.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's a thing on every woman. I don't know. I'd struggle with that. So maybe it was just in her moving that it kind of shimmied and shaked in a different way. But that gown was one of my favorites. She looked great in the color. Absolutely stunning. I like Kristen Wiig in Rodarte. The lace see-through number was unexpected, and I didn't expect to see her with brown hair, so that was surprising too. I really liked the whole look from top to bottom. It was really sexy. It was really sexy, and I really liked it. And then you know what? I'm a huge fan of Elle Fanning. I just don't think she ever misses.
Mhm.
In gold, this gold strapless Oscar de la Renta. It was beautiful. So those are my top three. How are we feeling, Francesca? Which ones are your favorite?
So I have to say Ella Fanning I loved. I think it's young and fresh, and I love when young designers hold on to that youthfulness, and young actresses keep to that youthfulness. I think it's so fabulous, and there's only a window where you can do that, and I love the fabric. When they design their fabrics and all the texture and the layering, it shows through in the camera. So there's a celebration to that. I actually love Nicole Byer. And I loved how she looked in her look. I love the brightness. I think they didn't need all that fabric on her. I think that they could have minimized a little bit of her fabric. But I love the color. I love that because she's a bold personality. She's got a lot of flavor, and I love that they kind of encompass that in her.
What are your thoughts? Which one was your favorite?
So, Selena Gomez, she took my breath away. So classy and just effortless. And I feel like that's been her new look. Like when she reemerged, she just went with, I'm so classy, and I'm so here for it. I love that look for her. I love the bright red. I'm really into bright red dresses right now. So when I saw that, everything was right for me. I did like Angelica Ross. I liked that look a lot. I think that was just stunning. And my third, if we're doing top three, I had a top five, but if we're doing top three, it would have to be Serena Williams, because I love her. I think she's just a powerful woman, like not even just an athlete, but just as a woman, I just adore her. So when we can see like these really strong women just dress beautifully and be completely themselves and not try to be on the line of being more feminine or masculine, but just themselves and their own style and just beauty and all of those things, I'm so here for that. So those were my top three.
I totally have to agree. But my win of the night for a couple was Joshua Jackson and Jodie Smith-Turner. Like when they have the video of him like moving her hair, and like I was like, oh, every woman wants to be looked at like that. Like who even cares what they have on? Like, yes, give me Valentine's Day. Okay. So, that was what I was here for. But I will tell you, this is the first time in a long time that I had an absolute bottom three type of list. You know what I mean? It's been a long time since I've looked at something and gone, what? But I also want you guys to think about the fabric that's available to designers right now and the options that are available to designers right now. We don't often think about like, yeah, okay, I could say no, but what's available to them right now as well. All right. And we're going to move into our final piece, which is building equity in the fashion industry. Steph, give us a rundown on this piece. Great article from BET.com.
Yes, I did. I really love that this article basically is from a handful of fashion industry professionals, from stylists to influencers to designers to business owners, that are people of color who want to see things happen in the fashion industry that surround inclusivity. I think the most interesting piece that I kind of read was a specific definition of inclusivity and to educate yourself on what inclusivity actually encompasses. So that was really, eye-opening to me, because I feel like, especially being someone who's not a person of color, to take into account of and really do that research and that digging when we have questions, and not going and asking our friend who is a person of color, because it's our responsibility to educate ourselves. But really reading this whole article was, I mean, a lesson in fashion within a diverse community, if you will. Marissa, what were your thoughts on the article?
So I definitely agree in having diversity in the aspect of whether it's designers or executive leadership, whether it's people of color, women. I think that it's really important because we're seeing a lot of representation, like in some ad campaigns, but are we seeing that representation on the creative and the executive level? I think that that's where the real change is. I think it's wonderful to be inclusive with the models, as well, but I think it's time for the change also in the room where it happens, right? In those meeting rooms. I also liked, I agree, Stephanie, that they had a really good job of talking about inclusivity. And one thing that also caught my eye is that it wasn't just talking about like female leadership or having women of color as CEOs. It was also talking about having inclusive sizes on the runway. So I think that's another area that I would really love to see some more diversity myself. And I thought it was a really well put together article as well. And I read it several times. I enjoyed it.
How about you, Francesca? What's your take on this? I'm super interested in your take on this as well, because you've really been in the room where it happens. You've seen how things have changed, and I loved that the article myself, I love that the article spoke to women and spoke to people of color, because I don't think people understand that a lot of times those roles open, but no one has trained the woman in the company for that role, or no one has trained or looked for a person of color to fit that. They only looked within the company. So, I'm really interested in your perspective, having really been in the room where it happens.
Well, yeah, so it is interesting because I think that as much as this is a big industry, it's still a very niche industry. And a lot of people, these design houses are familial and they're very protective. And I think they always kind of want to build within. So it is a challenge for a lot of design houses to branch out and take a chance and bring in new people, whether it's female, influencers or people of color or different backgrounds, because it's that fear of change. And, going back to Ferragamo, what they're doing something that is new and relatively new to a lot of older design houses. So we need to allow that opportunity for people with talent, regardless of what their background is or color or even gender, to come in and test and see what they can do, because we need to evolve. We need to evolve in fashion. I do believe that sizing has there is a huge stigma with that. Being in the bridal industry, we all know, when you go shopping for a wedding dress, there aren't sizes in every style. You go into a boutique and it's one sample and you're limited to that one sample. So that has to change, and it is slowly changing, but not fast enough. So I think it's up to us to always allow and create that openness. What I think needs to happen, in addition to just building and expanding on these existing design houses, I think we need to create new fashion houses. I think designers need a platform to say, okay, I can appoint you as the new creative director because you're young and hip and different, but why not create a new fashion house that is US born and it is a true American designer? There are no more American designers. Like, we need to do that. We need to harbor a platform for that as well.
Francesca, say that for the people in the back, girl, because people don't know, darling.
Yeah,
If you guys did not know, this is why earlier this season we had Elliot Carlisle on from the CFDA, and he is spearheading CFDA Connects, which is like reviving regional and local fashion, because I don't think people realize, in order for you to say that you're made in the USA, you only have to be 50% made in the USA. We do not have the tailors that we had before. We do not have the level of design craft that we had before, because people are trying to take the easy way out, and they do not realize that designing is an actual thing. Styling is an actual thing that you must know silhouette, you must know fabrication, you must know image, and you must know fashion history. You must understand reference and influence. Thank you for coming to my fashion TED Talk. Francesca, girl, you just, because girl, yes, everything you said.
Yeah.
And really, that's why we started this show, really was because we wanted to educate people. So thank you. Thank you, Francesca. Thank you, Marissa, for you guys being on. Thank you for bringing your brilliance. Thank you for bringing what you bring to the industry. You know, both of you women are so brilliant, and we are so blessed to have had you on with us. Thank you so much. We hope that each and every one of you have enjoyed being on with us as well with our Fab Lab analysts. Francesca, tell them where they can find you on the socials, darling.
Oh, yes. So if you're interested in learning more about me and what I can do and how I can help you look fabulous on your wedding day, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is at Francesca_stylist.to.the_bride. And you can reach me and DM me. And if you have any questions or if you need any little bit of guidance and support, I'd be happy to help you in any way I can.
I love it. And listen, Francesca and I talked last night. You talk about the girl to pick if you're going to be a bride. Oh, she's it. Fly her out, fly her in. I'm telling you, you need Francesca. All right, Marissa, tell us where they can find you and Camera Brave.
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me over at Camera Brave on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I also have a podcast, The Camera Brave Show, and I help people learn how to take videos and feel confident on camera. So if that's something that you're looking for help with, especially if it's the mindset behind that, then please go find me over on Camera Brave and tell me that you found me here from this awesome audience at the Fab Lab.
We are so grateful to you both, Marissa and Francesca, and to all of you who are watching today on this wonderful Saturday morning. Make sure you join us next here on the Fab Lab, where we want you to look, feel, and stay fabulous while making life your runway. Good morning. My name is Stephanie J, and this is my fabulous co-host.
I'm Liz Everett.
And you found us on Saturday morning on the Fab Lab. And today we have a treat for you. We have celebrity stylist Tiffany Gifford with us, and she is going to learn us on how to break into the fashion industry today. Tiffany, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So Tiffany, let's go ahead and get into it. How did you get started in the celebrity styling world? Tell us how it happened for you.
Sure. There's so many ways to get into this industry, and this is just one of them. I decided after my degree, I got a bachelor's degree in elementary education. I was going to be a kindergarten teacher, and then decided I was no longer going to do that and went on to apply to fashion school in New York City. I went to Parsons School of Design. And to me, that was like my foot in the door, the only way that because I didn't know anybody in the industry. I didn't have any sort of connections. So for me, it was, and also learning about fashion, I think was important to me. At that point, I actually didn't think I was going to be a celebrity stylist. I actually thought I was going to be more of a magazine stylist, is what I really wanted to be doing and working for magazines. So applied to fashion school, got into fashion school, moved to New York. And started the program. I did some internships, started my very first internship was for a PR agency, a fashion PR agency, and got my foot in the door that way. And then slowly worked myself into getting internships at magazines at Condé Nast. I worked for Glamour for about a year and really honed in on what I wanted to be doing. At that particular time, I was just exploring all different kinds of stylists, and I got some great advice from the photo director there at Glamour, Suzanne Donaldson, and she just kind of allowed me to sit with her and ask her questions about, what kind of a stylist that I want to be, and At that particular time, I, in browsing through what I don't even know if it exists anymore, but it was called Le Book. It was like a physical copy of a book that you could buy. Magazines had them, that literally listed photographer. It was like a yellow pages for the creative world, the industry, photographers, hair and makeup, wardrobe stylists. And so I just literally started going down the row of stylists, and some names I was familiar with, some names I wasn't, but it familiarized myself with the industry that I wanted to be a part of. In addition to, it let me see the kind of stylists that I really wanted to emulate, their careers. And more I was gravitating towards celebrity stylists. And I don't know exactly why at that point, because I hadn't had the experience really to know that that's what I wanted to do. I really admired InStyle magazine. That's what I wanted to, that was my dream job, to work at InStyle, or a magazine called Lucky, which also is kind of defunct now, sadly. But a lot of the stylists that I liked did covers for InStyle, which InStyle was integral in creating kind of the celebrity culture in magazines, because prior to them, it was only models on the cover of magazines. So yeah, I did that. And then once I graduated, I got the opportunity to assist a celebrity stylist named Andrea Lieberman, who was somebody that I had really admired, and was on the top of my list. At the time, she was like the celebrity stylist. It was pre Rachel Zoe days. Rachel was styling, but wasn't as well known. I don't think she had her show come out yet or anything. And Andrea was, did Jennifer Lopez, the green Versace dress. She was the reason Google Images exists. So it was basically the pinnacle of celebrity styling and getting to see somebody like that work. She did all of Gwen Stefani's solo career, helped her on her fashion collection, Lamb. Who else did she do? I think she did. We worked with Mary J. Blige. We worked with Faith Hill, Lucy Liu, it's a bunch of people. And so that was kind of an eye-opening experience and really allowed me to realize fully that that's what I wanted to be doing. And I was really drawn to the music side of things. Even though with her, we were working with Jennifer Lopez mostly because she was on the East Coast. She had West Coast clients as well, and had an assistant in Los Angeles that would help her with most of that stuff. But yeah, so that was kind of the moment that I knew I wanted to get into it. And that was the avenue that I kind of took. So it was school, and then just really vocalizing and verbalizing to anybody who would listen what I wanted to be doing, learning, evolving, and then having the experiences with the types of stylists that I wanted to work, but I kind of wanted to emulate their careers, was kind of how I got my foot in the door in that arena.
I love that. And I really think it's so important because you did put in the work, you were behind the scenes, you saw all of those different pieces come together, which is so integral when people are putting their careers together to really know how they want to develop, but also how they want to put their aesthetic together. Because I think that's something that people don't talk a lot about outside of the industry. How did you develop your aesthetic?
That's such an interesting question, because I think that a lot of different celebrity stylists have a specific aesthetic, and you go to them for that specific aesthetic. For me personally, I think 5 years ago, I would have said, well, I of course don't, I'm able to style anyone in any aesthetic. But I think the more that I've experienced life and my career, I think that we all bring our own kind of personal vibe into something. So I feel like with my clients specifically, I'm working 99% with musicians. I let the music inform the aesthetic, which I think is a little bit different than a lot of people tend to work in my field. But I would also be lying if I said that it didn't have a little bit of my own as well. You know what I mean? I think it's impossible to not say, okay, well, it's, my particular vibe, I think, would probably be polished edge. I know that my strengths are, again, like I used to be like, well, a good stylist should be able to do anything. And, to a certain degree, yes, but also, what your strengths are. Like I loathe menswear. It's boring to me. I don't have confidence in it. So I don't have a lot of male clients. Generally, I don't say yes to anything that comes my way that's a male client that doesn't already kind of have a more fashion forward vibe. Because, well, for a multitude of reasons. But anyhow, I just feel like I think that for me, part of my own aesthetic is kind of an edgy, polished, glam vibe. I bring that to the table, and then I let the music inform the rest.
When you are pulling for a client, what is your biggest inspiration, and where do you draw inspiration from in general when you're pulling for clients or just styling overall?
I mean, I think it goes back to the music again. Anytime I'm working with a client, if it's for an album, I'll have to have them send the music first. And sometimes I'll be the first person to even hear it before the record label even hears it. Just because we have to kind of establish a vibe and a thought process before it even hits any other ears. So yeah, I mean, I think it's the music. I think just from I try to also keep just my own education in the works with it used to be magazines, and now truthfully, those are kind of no longer existing. Slowly but surely, they're all kind of going by the wayside. To a degree, I still get inspiration there, but a lot of it's Instagram too, where I learn about new designers. I see things that visually inspire me, and I'll save them. New designers, I'll save them and kind of go. I've many times gone back to those things that I've saved in order to, like, I'll be like, oh, that would be good for this client, or this would be good for that client. And I'll draw inspiration from that. I do try to go to New York Fashion Week as much as I possibly can. With COVID, it's been a little tricky the last few years, but I think hopefully if all goes well, I'll be back in September, just to keep my relationships with the designers and the PR companies that I rely on, at tip-top shape.
Can you speak a little bit more on your relationships with PR companies? Because I don't think that people outside of the industry realize what an important piece of the puzzle, or the pie, shall we say, those relationships are, because at the end of the day, everything in the industry really is about relationships and how people can navigate and help one another.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of people come into our industry and they think, oh, well, I'm a great shopper, and I can put outfits for my friends together really well. And, that's great, but I don't think that that's necessarily going to make you a great stylist. I mean, it involves a lot more from a business standpoint, which, a lot of that is about networking and relationships. I mean, I was lucky enough, because I did come from the New York fashion world, that I've had relationships. I mean, I still, to this day, the guy that gave me my very first internship, Chris Constable, has his own PR company now. And anytime he's handling any sort of New York Fashion Week, I know that I'm going to have a great experience, because we know each other, and not just by name, but by face. So to have those relationships, and styling is vastly more than just what you see with your eyes. It's building a brand for this client. It's trying to achieve things for them, whether it's ad campaigns or tour sponsorships or tour support, or press or magazine placement, or whatever it is, collaborations, their own clothing lines, all these things that it's bigger than just that one moment that you're dressing them for, whatever it is. You're building a business for them. You're collaborating with them in order to build an image that will achieve things that they're wanting to achieve in their careers. So to have these relationships with these PR companies is integral because, you know, I can go to Nordstrom at the mall and buy something for a client and they look great, and that's fine. And, you know, sometimes, you know, that's what is you only have time to do that, or you know, you don't have the parameters are such where that's the only option you have, and they don't necessarily need any more at that point in their career. But you know, it's kind of like if a tree falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound, you know? So if I'm not dealing directly with the brand to get something, I want an Alice and Olivia jumpsuit, and I can go get it at the mall, or I can go on the website and get it, but like their PR is, you know, doesn't know that I'm doing that, you know? So there's no collaboration. The PR is not aware of the client. You know, you're not getting that double dip of publicity, whereas you can say you're wearing something, tag it on Instagram. But if the brand doesn't see it, if the people that matter in that world don't see it and aren't also posting it, it's kind of a waste of opportunity. You're not getting as much out of that moment as you possibly could. So those relationships are really important, and it takes time to build them. I think a lot of people think it can go into styling really easily. And, you know, personal shopping is a completely different thing. I always say, you know, people want to call my prep day shopping days. And it really like, it triggers me because I'm like, yes, shopping is part of what I do, but it's not who I am. Like I'm offering you so much more than going shopping for you. So yeah, I mean, I think that those relationships are so important, and they're hard to build because PR people move around a lot. So if they get an email that of a name they don't recognize, I mean, good luck, you know, I mean, especially if it's something that something big that you're trying to get for a client or a brand that they've never had before, you know, you're trying to build something, get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. You know, it's a hard thing. So it's something that's really important to, you know, start early and be building those relationships.
Absolutely. We couldn't agree more with that. We're going to move into our last question, which is, what are your recommendations for someone who wants to break into the celebrity stylist industry? What words of wisdom would you give them?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think assist and intern and assist and intern and assist and intern. I think, you know, if you're wanting to do celebrity, I am based in Nashville. I'm a bit of a horse of a different color. I think I'm only able, and this is just my opinion, take or leave it. I am only able to do what I do here in Nashville at the level in which I do it because I have had that experience in New York. I had those relationships. I built those relationships. The things that I've been able to do, I can take people to Paris Fashion Week and be confident in that because I have PR relationships and I've been to Paris Fashion Week. So I can do those things with confidence and offer something that a lot of people can't. If you want to do celebrity, you need to be where the celebrities are. And there are a lot of celebrities here in Nashville, but what there aren't are showrooms. And from what I understand, word on the streets that is slowly going to change. A lot of people that I spoke to just a few weeks ago when I was in LA said, you know, we're talking about opening showrooms in Nashville. So, but it'll never be what Los Angeles is. I mean, because it's just such a mecca of entertainment. I would say you need to be in New York or LA. Specifically for celebrity, to me, LA is a better learning experience because there's more celebrity stylists there. There obviously are celebrity stylists that are based in New York. But I would start looking for people that you like what they do. If your jam is street style, go assist Maeve Riley. If your jam is, you know, making someone into a astronomical rise fashion plate, go assist Carla Welch. Like, you know, so make sure that you're trying to figure out like what kind of, and I would suggest try to work for as many people as you can. That way you figure out like, how do I want to run my business? How do I not want to run my business? How do I want to handle difficult situations, difficult clients. How do I, all those things everybody's going to do differently based on their own experiences. But definitely get that experience. I mean, I might be politically incorrect to say now, but like when I was interning, I would have paid them for that experience because it's so invaluable. It literally is. It is your job. It's like it's your first job, I mean, if you don't do those things well, if you're not showing up on time, if you're not willing to, put in the extra work, whatever it is, be that first person to say, I'll do it. There's other people that are going to come in. I mean, because it's too desired a field. And there's way more people that want to do it than there are positions to do it. It's very difficult to get to a place where you can just do it as a career. And I mean, I almost gave up on all of it before I got Miranda as a client. I was going to move back home to Texas, and God stepped in and said, nope, you're not going to keep going on this. So I recommend assisting as much as you can or interning and assisting as much as you can. Know too that like you're not going to be able to immediately go into an assisting position. There's certain things, especially if you do it in Los Angeles, you've got to like know where the showrooms are. The best way to do that is to intern, and nobody, I guarantee you say, hey, and some people will pay for internships and whatnot, but I would be out there going, I'll work for free. Like I want this experience because it's invaluable. It's school, really. So that would be my recommendation.
Such good advice. I can say that I'm living that firsthand, and she is correct. And I'm so thankful for the guidance that I've gotten working underneath you, Tiffany. It has been invaluable. And I'm super thankful for it. With that, we want to thank you for joining us here on the Fab Lab. Tiffany, can you tell the folks where they can find you on social media if they want to follow you,
Sure.
what you're styling, and maybe your website as well?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So my website's just tiffanygifford.com. My Instagram handle is at Tiffany Gifford Style. I had to think about it for a second. Yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out today to meet with Liz and I. We really appreciate it. Guys, go follow Tiffany on Instagram. Follow her journey. She is fabulous. You will not regret it. Join us next here on the Fab Lab, where we want you to look, feel, and stay fabulous. Hi, Fab Fashionistas. It is Stephanie J here.
And I'm Liz Everett.
And we have come to the part of the show where we are going to talk about rocking it or racking it. We've got some great red carpet looks from the Critics' Choice Awards that were this week in Los Angeles. So without further ado, let's get into it with number one, Lady Gaga, Madame Lady Gaga in Gucci. We rocking it? We racking it? What are we doing?
We're racking it from the waist up and rocking it from the waist down.
It's not giving. It's not, I don't know what it was supposed to give, but this ain't it. So it's a racket for me. Also, if I'm speaking personally to my body, number one, my chest is too big for whatever they've covered her.
For the pasties?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine how much the Gucci pasties alone cost?
Oh yeah, they're like at least $300. If a pair of slides for Gucci are on upwards of $400, you know that their socks are $300 alone. So pasties have to be at least $300.
Yeah.
Right? At least.
Yeah.
And then the shiny fabric. So the shiny fabric on me personally would not be it. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on from this into number two, Nicole Byer and Christian Siriano, Rocket or Racket.
All the way rocket, and so many colors. I'm just a big fan. I would like just a little bit less volume around the waist area, but I think that this makes her look very soft, very feminine. She has such a big, beautiful personality, and I think this big, beautiful gown just fits her. But because I have a similar like wide shoulder like that, I love to wear a a similar neckline because it really does soften and feminize me as well.
Yes, I have to say that I love, 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 love. Did I say that I love this color. Personally, like you said, for Lady Gaga, it's a waist up rocket for me, not a waist down. It is a little bit too much volume for me, and I don't think that that silhouette from the waist down would look really good on me. But again, like you, I do have wide shoulders, so I feel like the top part of the gown would look really good on my frame. And the color, again, if I didn't already say it,
Yeah.
the color is it's a yes, it's a rocket for me.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that this gown is made from taffeta as well. And so when a gown is made from taffeta and it's a really good silk taffeta, it really holds shape and proportion, and really like it does the thing, honey. Which is
right.
Yes.
It's giving what it should be giving. Unlike
they understood the assignment.
They did
all the way.
Unlike Lady Gaga, apparently. I just can't get over it. I can't.
The shade.
The shade, the gall, and the audacity. Moving on to number 3, we have Selena Gomez in this dashing red Louis Vuitton racket or rocket.
All the way rocket. Now I gotta admit, it'd be about 60 pounds from now, but your girl right here, baby, she would rock it and roll it. Do you hear me? Because I would be in Walmart like flinging the little pieces, doing a runway video, like make life my runway.
I have to agree. The silhouette is gorgeous on her. She looks beautiful. She looks classy. She looks all the things that you want to be when you are on a red carpet. It is a rocket for me. Now, in number 4, we've got 2 to kind of break down. So we have Venus and Serena Williams, both in Versace. Let's talk about Venus first. Rocket or racket?
It's a racket for me, personally. It's something that I would put on like Jessie Rosado because she has such a great hip shape. But for me, I'm a pretty conservative person. Like I'll give you a good thigh all day long, but that's about all you're going to get from me. So this just too much happening and out for me.
I like it on her because her body is so athletic and so goddess-like that this really just works for her. So somebody who has that super athletic line, it's going to look really good on me. 30 pounds ago might have tried to wear this with a great platform heel. Me right now is saying we're going to rack that until we lose 30 pounds. And let's move on to Serena. We rocking it or we racking it?
Honey, I would rock that all day long. Now, I would like a halter line because a halter line does minimize the shoulders just a little bit more. And I think a huge part of dressing your body for your own version of success, whatever that looks like, is knowing your proportions and being able to say, hey, this would look good on me if. So for instance, like I'm almost 6 feet tall, and I have stood by Serena in real life and she's taller than me. So what they did that was really smart was, you see that it's a spaghetti line for the dress, but they did a thicker piece of fabric. So that small piece of fabric would look really big on you, but on her, because she's so muscular and got such a gorgeous body and tone, and she's so tall, it created a spaghetti line, but gave her a lot of minimization, silhouette, and shape, in that space. But this is decadent. It is phenomenal. And I am just so here for the return of drama in fashion.
2 strong, powerful women, and I'm here for both looks. And this takes us into our last look. We've got Halle Berry in Dolce & Gabbana. I feel like you're gonna go in on this look like I went in on Lady Gaga.
No, I'm not. It's Holly. No. Nope. Nope. Just rack it. Nope. Nope. Mm-mm. No part of it. Nope. No. How do you do the red carpet with such grace, essence, and elegance, and then let this be where you're at? It's no. Nope.
Are we right? Are we wrong? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And why? Let us know. Which ones are you rocking? Which ones are you racking? For me personally, she's done better. She's done the red carpet better, right? But I don't hate this look if we're talking about translation to something that I would wear in real life. Now, would I wear this on the red carpet? No, I would not. Well, folks, we've come to the end of our episode of the Fab Lab, where we are all about fashion and the art of beauty. And we want to thank you for joining us today on this episode.
We're super grateful to be on Mocha Media Network and to have a team behind us that just really believes in our vision. And thank you so much for being a part of our Fab Lab family.
Thank you for joining us and have a great weekend.